Hey everyone, Tactics here, going through another one of my Twitch VODs, this time walking you guys through a plus 23 Plaguefall. If you're interested in some of my other dungeon walkthroughs, I have about half of these Shadowlands dungeons currently covered over on my channel, with the others on the way, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss when those get posted. If you're new to the channel, in this video I'll be going through my advanced route for the dungeon, discussing the pulls as they happen, describing what we need to do on higher keys in order to survive through those pulls, and giving you guys some potential route variations or pull adjustments depending on what the affixes are or what your specific group composition is. Also know that this video is going through the no Necrolord route, as there is a slight variation to pick up more slime buffs if you have a Necrolord in your party, which we do not in this video, so we go through without that route. Now, with all that said, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into the run. So, right off the bat here, we are going to be shrouding, so we're mounted up. We're shrouding straight to the Lieutenant, and that's our first pull here. Right through this area. Don't worry about those storms, they aren't real if you're not engaged in combat with them, so you don't take damage. We just go right into Arkalith here, or Varuth, whichever, and we kill them quickly, and then we move on into the slimes. Now the slime pull after this is dependent on affixes for sure, whether or not you can pull all the slimes together or not. We are on a decent set of affixes. You're going to see a lot of Spiteful spawn, obviously. Grievous can get a little scary, especially because we are triple melee, so you're going to see a lot of defensives popped from the melee here, because they're going to be taking a ton of ticking damage from the slimes. I think one of the scarier affixes to do all the slimes on is something like Bursting, right? Obviously, if you pull all the slimes with Bursting, that's going to be a bit of a pain, but for this set of affixes, Spiteful, Grievous, we're perfectly fine to pull everything here like this. Group it all up. I believe we torrent, and then we just go hard with defensives getting popped here. A lot. I think we commit pretty much all of our defensives to this, because frankly we don't need anything for the next little while, especially on Fortified Week. This is probably like one of the scarier pulls, just pulling all the slimes with a bunch of melee DPS, right? So slowly kite backwards here to avoid those shades, and then we go into the single Plague Belcher pull before the boss, just to clear up half the platform. We leave that second Plague Belcher, we don't worry about them. Plague Belchers are a little slow. They're a pure single target pull, right? So not something ideally you do, but we need to clear the platform of space, so we have to kill at least one of them. And here we're just going to use like slows and knocks, so that we never have to deal with those slimy morsels, and we just slowly kite this Plague Belcher away. End up pretty far away, but you never have to deal with the slime, so it's not too big of a deal. And after we deal with this Plague Belcher, we go right into the boss here. We have Lust, we have all CDs coming up soon. Yeah, I think someone said they needed 5 seconds there, so we give them 5 seconds, we go. And this boss is another one where we never kill a big slime. So we have CCs, we have roots, and we have blind. So that's what we do for big slimes here. That's important to know. I do roots the first slime and keep that one rooted, because blind is a 1 minute duration, but it's got a longer CD, right? So he can't chain blind a mob. So we just make sure that the blind mob is the one that's never going to be re-CC'd, which is the second big one. And then we just have DPS swap to these morsels, keep them slowed, stunned, locked up over there, and I move the boss over to the next big slime spawn. And that's pretty much the fight. You just keep the mob CC'd here. I'm re-CCing. When this new big one will spawn, Rogue is gonna blind it. But yeah, not too much happening here, just a blind. I believe we also swapped to this. It would be dependent on boss health. If we were a little lower, we could have stayed, but we just swapped there. We're right on the edge, I think, of swapping versus not swapping if we had enough CC. And then we do backtrack right after this. So we're going right here into a pretty scary double pull. Double Stormer, so you need to make sure they both get stopped. And then the other thing you need to worry about here is the Wonder Grows. So getting interrupts on those, or dispels if you miss a kick. So like we have a bunch of like Blood Elf Torrents or Mass Dispel as well. But we can deal with that if it goes off, so it's not the biggest deal. The number one thing here is Stormers though. Gotta make sure the Stormers get stopped. I think we let one, like the next one ticks for like a second or two, which is a little scary. Yeah, just a bad timing there. We do end up getting, but see, we almost wiped from 2 ticks of a storm going off. So like that is number one, especially on higher fortified keys. Gotta watch those storms. That's the scariest thing in this, all these pulls in this area. Just anytime there's a stormer, gotta make sure we get those storms. An unfortunate mushroom position there. Yeah, I debated pulling those Plague Boars in, but there was this pull is still fairly alive, so I end up pulling those Plague Boars later on. Just because they do hit the tank fairly hard, especially on Fortified again, as this is a higher Fortified key, so I hold a little bit on pulling those Plague Boars in. Wait for this pack to die, then start grabbing Plague Boars. And the key here is if you pull that Plague Boar, it's actually going to chain the rest of the pack. The far one, so you have to pull this close one. I pull it with Taunt and it only grabs the 2 Plague Boars. If you pull the further one, it can actually pull the whole nest over there, which you definitely don't want. So be very careful when pulling those 2 Plague Boars. Always just tap the closer one. Here we would have liked to drag this into that 3-pack there, but the Golem was padding. So we'll just wait for him to get out of the way and then go in there. And it's straightforward again. 1 Stormer you need to worry about getting the stops on, and aside from that, not too much to worry about. And then we just pull this last 3-pack, but same deal. You've got the 1 kick in Wondergrow, and then you've got the 1 stop in the Storm, and we just kind of chain these in. I wait for the Storm to finish there, and then I'll pull them in. But yeah, there's not really much to talk about. That's the last pull here. We end up at 26.6% leaving this area, or I think it's a 160 count, right? Let's see. Yeah, 160 count, and then we leave. Now this pull is probably possible for us to add more into this pull. I don't know if it's possible to just combine the next 2 pulls into this pull. I think that's a bit optimistic, just because the Slime Claws are trucking me here. You see, I'm taking a ton of damage from the Slime Claws. And this is just dodge the double frontals, try and get them all cleaved in the barrel, but as you can see, barrels are just nowhere near as good as something like the Plague Boars were in last season. So we tend to skip most of this area because the trash here is honestly a bit of a pain, especially on fortified weeks. Your tank just gets absolutely murdered, and the barrels really don't do much of anything. As you can see there, they really just barely move the health on that pack. So we tend to skip most of the trash in this area in favor of doing the pulls at the beginning, just because, again, that trash is easier to deal with. So we do that. We get this pack down. The double frontals is what you have to be aware of. Then we group these next 2 packs here with the 2 boars and the 2 slime claws and binder, just making sure those phlegms get stopped, because again, this is a very, very scary pull. I'm pretty dry on defensives for this pull, and so you got to be careful with the phlegms. They need to get stopped here, and then the slime claws, they're just going to kind of blast you, so you have to be very, very careful. After this though, we do move up onto the ledge and just completely skip the rest of the trash here, and we move on to the lieutenant and the mini boss area with all the plague boars. And that's a pretty interesting spot. So we tried this with Sagadon when he was the lieutenant in that area, and it was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of very, very scary because of the fact that he was constantly gripping in either everyone or me and pulling me out of position, because this is a very very difficult spot, because tank positioning with the plague borers and the mini boss and the tentacles and all that stuff is very important, and just getting gripped by Sagadon can kind of throw all of that off. And so it's much, much easier with Oros. So you see here, people aren't really caring about damage on the slime claws. I'm just dragging Oros and them down here, and we're pulling the plague borers directly on top of the tentacle here. making sure those phlegms get stopped. So we have Oros now going through. The Plague Boar is kind of separated there, which is unfortunate. They got double on the tentacle, which is the important part because we want that tentacle to die. But it was a little odd they got separated there. My guess is I lost aggro on one of them, is my only guess. But we want both to hit the tentacle so it dies instantly and we can move to the next one. That's an unfortunate tentacle grab. I'm able to live through it though, luckily. I have defensives up and available. And ideally Oros would be dead here because he got hit from the last Plague Boar twice. Obviously we missed it here. But these Plague Boars are ideally going right onto the mini-boss. I think we only managed to get one here, but it's still better than nothing. And at this point we would have a DPS run down, but yeah, we got a little bit distracted there. So really we're not going to quite get there in time. Yeah, and I'm going to eat a phlegm as well, so I'm a little slowed. Probably should have just dispelled myself earlier there, but not quite far enough, as you can see. Like, we almost got it up in time, but basically if that was a little bit cleaner, Oros would have been dead earlier, we wouldn't have been slowed, we've been able to get those 2 Plague Boars on the mini-boss, then immediately run down and pull these 3 up to get nuked by the last set of Plague Boars, because you only get 4 sets now. But this was decently clean. Just one little scuff at the beginning of that the Plague Boars separating and not double hitting Oros. But overall, not too bad. You'll notice I didn't pick up the Oros power. Nothing of value is lost. As a tank, it's really uninspiring in a lot of dungeons. Borderline not useful at all. So not a big deal to not pick it up for me because I was so busy controlling all the mobs and whatnot. But I believe everyone else did pick up their Oros power. Regenerative Fungus is a pretty good power on Grievous Week, so not bad to pick that up. Small 3-pack here, not much to talk about. Keep the red slime kicked while killing the purple slime, and then we just kind of go around here. Kill the last 2-pack after the boss is gone, and then we move up the hill after we kill this guy to get the lieutenant power before the boss. We just get our lieutenant power, and then we go straight into the boss after this with lust and all CDs and whatnot. Just absolutely nuke this boss. And what we do in this boss is we try and make sure we never ever kill a purple slime because it's just a waste of DPS. So you're going to see we're going to double knock back the purple slimes, and just like with the first boss, we're going to keep it CC'd out in the water so no one can accidentally cleave it or anything like that. So we'll see here, he's going to jump to his first platform soon. Close one, yep. DPS will move to the bomb so they don't accidentally dot it up, and I'll knock back. We have the priest knock back, and then I'll roots it out there while the boss is jumping. Here, just watch his backpack. It's cardinal directions from in front of him, behind him, and then his left and right. Okay, we're just clearing out that bomb and then on to Ickis. Again, that slime is just CC'd out in the water. We're going to, I believe, blind him after this. Yeah, Ro goes out, blinds it, and boss moves to next platform soon here. He gets a jump combo off first. Alright, and we're going to do the exact same thing on this platform. So, DPS start hitting the bomb, double knockback on the slime, and I roots this one. That's why the other one was blinded, so that I was able to use roots again on this slime in case there was any dot on it, because obviously roots won't instantly break with damage, whereas blind will. So that's the one difference in why we did roots here versus blind. I re-roots. Blind's about to expire because we were a little slow on that last platform, but I believe we just killed the boss. Yeah. Almost bad, but not quite bad, so we're fine. From here we have just a little recovery pull. Just the 2-pack right in front of the tentacle and the slime, and then we go into a big pull on the platform, which is another pull we commit a lot of defensives to. I believe we rally that pull because again, that's clustered, right? You have very limited space. You have puddles spawning all the time, and then the mobs are all half health to begin with, so you're going to have spitefuls very, very quickly. So you want to defensive that pull and just make it safe, especially because we're, again, triple melee clustered on that little platform. It's not fun. So another good pull to commit defensives on. See here. I think we actually end up missing some flesh giant kicks. Yeah, I normally get the flesh giant kick, but I kicked the sniper there. And I think we get a couple creepy crawlers in this pull that we would normally want to avoid, but just cleaving, trying to find as much safe space as possible. I think, yeah, we missed the purge there on the green slime, which eliminated even more of our space, which is not good. But we're able to get this stuff down fairly cleanly. But yeah, we committed a lot of defensives there because you have to for that pull. Let me go straight into 2-pack with Sagadon here. Not much to talk about here, just nuking down Sagadon, getting our power from him. We do the stealth ambusher plus the tentacle and the defender here. We focus the tentacle because if it picks someone up, it's not CCable, so it's just gonna kind of murder them entirely. So we focus that ambusher, or not ambusher, sorry, the tentacle. And what you'll notice here is that for the most part, we're not actually kicking the ambusher. I think this one does because, yeah. But the next pack and that pack down there actually went early on. I don't know if you saw it. We can rewind maybe a sec. Like, we just let this channel go off. Okay, well, I lied to you all. We're supposed to let the channel go off. Because as long as it's casting that and we're in range of it, it's not casting these stealthlings, right? And that's the main benefit, is that the longer you let it channel, the more you can eliminate the number of stealthling casts that go out. Because we see here, well, we stopped it again. All right. So I guess we're just stopping it all this pack. Yeah, it's not the biggest deal because, you know, we deal with it, but as if you're letting it channel, he's not casting stealthlings and he's not casting ambush, which is two things that see, like, that's an ambush. Like, that's two things that can kill people if you don't have, one, the CCs to break the stealthlings, or two, just like the defensive ability to eat ambushes. That's two things that can kill you. So we could have done a way better job here with the ambushers in particular. We didn't get punished for it, but it's very, very scary and something you'll probably want to let go off on higher fortified, because you see it was almost one-shot range, not quite almost one-shot range, so not quite punished, but it's getting very, very close. This boss here, not much to talk about. We do it without lust. We just, you know, break out assassins as much as possible, as quickly as possible, sorry. The one person with the purple circle pretty much always wants to pop a defensive, even on fortified keys this high. See there, it's like that's through a defensive. He's taken like 70% of his HP, so it's scary. So every time you get that purple circle, one single defensive, you don't want to commit all of your defensives, right? Because then you don't have it if you get the circle the next time, unless you're like a warrior with spell reflect or something like that, right? So one defensive, not all of them, just to kind of make sure you're not getting absolutely murdered by that ability. See there, Rogue got back-to-back, so he alternating defensives, very, very good. But that's pretty much the entire fight, right? Break out those circles ASAP. Obviously, the mage trick, I think, was fixed from Season 1, but things like hunters have like all their traps and flares and all those things will still break things out. Any kind of AoE ability, just leaping onto them. All those kinds of things, so we were able to get them out pretty quickly, but this boss is not too bad. As a tank, just make sure you have a little bit of defensives up for the beginning of these ads, because they can hurt, especially if it overlaps with a slash. But aside from that, it's actually not too scary from a tank perspective either. There we jump down, so you want to be at, I believe, 84.5% is the spot you want to be making sure on the no Necrolord route that you're at before jumping down, because then you'll have enough percent. With Spiteful, we're taking these one pack at a time, I believe, just so we can have all the Spitefuls kind of grouped in one area. We know where they all are, and then we all move forward to the next area, make some more Spitefuls, etc., etc. This first pack is going to hit the hardest because there's 2 extra big guys in it compared to what you would normally have. And that's because of the 2 pack we run through at the beginning here. Yeah, 1 pack at a time here, slowly cutting into the next pack, getting some cleave onto Ichor. Next pack. And you'll see though, I'm trying my hardest not to commit some of my things like scale, like Convoke here, because an important thing is cooldown organization on Stradama. So that's something that is very, very important for tyrannical keys on a lower level, but even high fortified keys that you basically run into the same problem, specifically Grievous as well. Grievous in Stradama is a ton of damage. And so what we do is we organize every phase, what cooldowns we're using, what defensives we're using, and when we're using everything where, based on the general timers of the fight. So important thing here is we use 2 minutes on pull, all 2 minutes. We'll use 3 minutes and Lust in phase 2, and then we have 2 minutes back up for phase 3, and I also have Heart of the Wild for that phase 3 for the bigger Convoke in phase 3. So I use a smaller Convoke in phase 1 and a bigger Convoke in phase 3. But I'm scaling with Convoke so I don't get murdered by Stradama every time, so that I can just shift in his face and not respect him at all. The first spawns here, we just hit a little bit, we get it to like 60% HP and then swap off of it and just cleave from there. And that's just so when the second growth spawns, I can freely move over to it, because it'll just die to passive cleave after it's down to around 60% HP. So that was all 2 minutes. We're holding 3 minutes in Lust. The only 3 minute in the group is the Enhancement Shaman with Ascendant. But that is enough with Lust and then the 1 minute boys, because 1 minute can go pretty much every phase, so they're fine. Alright, so here we go. We have 3 minutes, 1 minute's Lust on this guy. And same deal with the spawn. So we rotate over the spawn. The safe spot from the tentacles is always around the spawn, as you can see. Get it down to 60%, and then we hit Stradama again. And here, actually, I think we fully skipped the second growth even, so big Enhancement Shaman burst. Right, and see, we're going pretty quick here, actually, so like 2 minutes aren't even quite going to be up for the beginning of this next phase. I think they're going to be like, what, like 6 seconds off, 7 seconds off here. So I'm going to have to delay my burst a little bit, but yeah, so that's how we deal with it. We're going to have my bigger burst Convoke here, and there's also pots from everyone else as well. You see we immunity'd and rallied here because we know we're not going to get too much more rain, and so we commit defensive to this rain, and we just absolutely nuke this boss down. And that is pretty much it for the dungeon. So plus 23 Plaguefall with Tormented. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I do have similar ones for the other Shadowlands dungeons over on my channel, so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions regarding the route that we used, high keys, or even just tanking in general, feel free to leave a comment down below, or you can come stop by my Twitch channel at Tactics, where I stream all these keys, and I'll do my best to answer. That is all for this video though. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.